Say, man, quitting them dirty websites is all about identity. Now let's get into it. I know it seems very silly to talk about, but a lot of y'all be struggling with the most silly things. Everybody struggles with things that could be silly to somebody else. And those things that you become, those things that you've grown to succumb to, those things that you've grown accustomed to has become your identity. At least you think it has, right? You think it's who you are. You think your lust is who you are. Deep down, you feel like the worst version of yourself is the real you. I could be happy 6 days of the week, but that one day I just be feeling angry. You feel me? And people would tell me, see, that's the real you. What about the other side? You know what I'm saying? So when you're a sin to your lust, when you're holding fast to those things that you don't need to be holding fast to, it starts to feel like that's who you are. When you're around people and you're around others, you start to feel disconnected from the real version of yourself. When people give you praise, you may not feel it because deep down you feel like you're inadequate. Deep down you feel like your identity is the area that you feel insecure about. And that happens to most, if not all of us, at some point in our life. You know what I'm saying? And when you've grown accustomed to watching those dirty websites in particular, and someone else starts to give you praise about how much discipline you have, you hear it, you appreciate it, but deep down, it only really goes skin deep. You won't allow it to touch your soul because you know that you're folding accustomed to things that you don't need to fold accustomed to. You feel me? And those things are limiting beliefs. Those things cause us to be afraid to live into the purpose of who we are because we feel that we're being a hypocrite. How can you say I'm disciplined when deep down I can't overcome my lust? You can see me bench 300 pounds and I could be oh so in shape. I could be consistent in the gym. I'm doing the maximum height of jump boxes. I'm motivating others. I'm also always showing up regardless of how I feel. But deep down I'm struggling with watching dirty websites, pornography. So when someone tells me, man, you're so great, I wish I had your discipline, you appreciate it, but deep down you'd be like, man, I don't know. If only you knew the half. If only you knew the full. You only know the half. That's how I felt. People would give me praise. I wouldn't allow it to really hit my soul because I knew that they didn't really know the full truth. If people could see me blowing up on a TV and what I was dealing with, would people feel the same? Maybe I just feared growth. Maybe I just feared living life without the things that made me feel good. Maybe I thought that was true hell. Just a whole bunch of maybes. But when you quit watching those dirty websites, it's all about identity. It's all about identity. It's all about identity. And you have to put on that new man, as I say in just about most of my videos as of late, and destroy the old man. Dispose of the old man. You know? Quitting those dirty websites is all about identity because you will find a new identity in who you are. You will realize that, dang, the version of me that's not in shackles to my sexual lust, that's the real me. That's how I was put here. It's gonna make you feel childlike. You wanna feel more childlike while making adult decisions, right? Feeling childlike is where the peace is at. You can't have peace when you've destroyed the inner child. The inner child is the version of you that's eager to learn, the version of you that doesn't really understand how to take no for an answer. But as you get older, you become more humble But when you're a child, you always look for a way to make something work. As you get older, you start to filter that into where you're willing to do whatever it takes to make things work. But you're not going to do anything toxic, detrimental to you, to somebody else, to others. But when you're in shackles to those dirty websites, you're simply just destroying yourself. You're destroying yourself. And you wonder why areas in your life aren't going well. Yeah, God will throw you a bone. Yeah, the devil will throw you a bone. But you can only get oh so far until you've learned to just push through all your adversity. The factors that you put upon yourself that's keeping you in bondage. Mine may not be sexual perversion, but we all have those things that we have to work through, work towards, even if it's just enduring the spirit, enduring the faith. It takes a long time for you to eventually sound like yourself. In the wise words of Miles Davis, it takes a long time for us to conquer our lusts. It's all about It's all about identity, man. It's all about identity, because you matter more than you think. You feel me? You're going to start to relearn yourself. You're going to start to go back into the areas in your life that you thought was over. You may pick up old passions. You may start hitting up old friends. You may go back to whatever made you feel that you mattered when you were a child, before your lust. You know, I was held in shackles from lust starting around the age about 13. So when I decreased that, matter of fact, not decreased, when I put in subjection the lust that I was struggling with for a decade, I started doing the things that I used to do when I was young. When I started folding for lust, ironically, that's when I got rid of my childhood passions. For real, for real. I was doing a lot before I turned 13. I was recording YouTube videos. I was editing on Microsoft Media Player, Windows Media Player. You know, I was making my own intros. I was doing all types of things. I was creating my own digital world. Then I stopped as I got older. I started to worry about social proof. I started to, worry about having friends. Started to worry about girls, sexual lust, all that threw out the window. But when I got back into my groove with things, when I got back into my childhood passions, it really became a new version of me. No longer blinded by lust. No longer blinded by the things that I thought I was going to be doing forever. No longer feeling like a shell of a man. No longer. Because I found a new identity. The version of me who I was supposed to be. And now I look back and be like, where would I be now if I hadn't been in shackles from that lust for 10 years? But I wouldn't trade it though. 'Cause I learned so much. I went through it then, so I don't have to go through it anymore. I went through it then, so I don't have to be a grown man with a wife and kids sneaking away watching dirty websites. I was sneaking off from the world watching it when I was young. Back when I was a child, back when it was socially acceptable for a kid to be a degenerate. But as you get older, you just really become a bum. And nobody appreciates bums. I had to create a new identity of who I was trying to become. Because that old version of me just wasn't cutting it. I was going to amount to nothing. I was going to be the guy that had the potential, had the support, and everybody was like, what happened to Stan? Even all the work I've done in the shadows, it's almost insulting for somebody to ask me, have I done shadow work? But I gotta remember that not everybody knows me. When you're doing shadow work, it's shadow because people don't see it. You don't talk about it. but you know. So people don't know. From that shadow work, I've laid a lot of bricks that are gonna help my future. But people can't see it now. So it looks as if your boy dropped off the face of the planet. Your boy still hasn't amounted to nothing. But the confidence that I have from the work I put in, from the lust that I put in subjection, it comes from me knowing that I created a new identity, which is the same message I'm trying to relay to y'all. Quitting those dirty websites is about identity, not discipline alone.